This vote in November is not about the next 4 years. It's about the next 40 years. Let me take you back to Constitution and governance. The President of the United States has the authority to place men and women as judges all across the district courts, the court, and the Supreme Court. This current president, in his 4 years, has appointed more judges than every other president except Jimmy Carter. In 4 years, President Donald Trump has appointed 198 judges to the bench, 2 to the Supreme Court, some 50 plus to appellate court, and the rest to district court. And many of those appointees will sit as justices of judgment for the rest of their lives. So when you don't vote, you don't determine who stands at trial. When you don't vote, you don't get to sit in the jury and determine the fate of those in trial. When you don't vote, you don't get to help determine the judge that sits on the bench. So don't tell me you out here hollering Black Lives Matter if you don't vote. Black lives don't matter to you if you don't vote. Don't tell me you're mad that Daniel Cameron has not indicted the police officers who killed Breonna Taylor if you don't vote, because you ain't got nothing to do with it. How dare you not vote? When we don't vote, we dismiss ourselves from being part of leveling the playing field of justice in the United States of America.
Man, it's an honor to have you on. The other 1911, I'm talking about, listen.
You stumbled getting that cap out your mouth, Ricky. I heard it.
You know how to slide a little hate in there, just a little hate. Hey, I'm sure your phone been blowing up. Did anybody tell you, like, we really rocking this clip at the top of every hour, every day up until the election? I'm so serious about it.
Hey, you listen, first of all, thank you. Thank you for putting it out there. But it just goes to show what your broadcast is all about, man, by not only bringing healing through laughter and soul, but also civic responsibility. So I really appreciate getting that message out, because this is the most critical election we've seen in our lifetime, Ricky, the most critical.
Absolutely. And can you break down the part about the federal judges in the Senate? Get into some of those details that's in between, your words that, when you said that on that clip, and how important it is.
Yeah, well, let me tell you what motivated real quick, Ricky. Just think how many young black folk I was listening to saying they weren't going to vote, that they didn't see Biden as any better than Trump. And I think what's short-sighted is the legacy of a president. The president gets to appoint people at the Supreme Court, the appellate court, and the district court. And those seats sometimes last almost 40 years. So what Donald Trump will be able to do in another election is continue to put people on the bench who will sit there, and our grandchildren will be standing in front of these people looking for justice one day. This is a major oversight that I think a lot of people don't really go into. And of the 198 appointees, I misspoke in the sermon, but I did correct it. Only 6 have been of color. And let's be clear, everyone of color ain't our kind. So this is a major thing here. So we're upset about a lack of justice in our world. It starts with the judges. We got to make certain that we're putting someone in office who puts judges on the bench who represent our interests for justice.
Right. How you doing, Pastor Wesley?
I'm good this morning.
It's great to know that you from Chi-Town. I'm from Chi-Town too. Whoop, whoop, Chi-Town, stand up. But I got another question for you. Do you feel like Trump's recent health crisis will have any effect on the election?
Well, my personal opinion is no, because his base isn't moving. Anyone who's supporting Trump, you know what? We can hold the election today. People have already made up their mind who they're going to vote for. We already know that there are two diametrically visions of America. This president is not trying to sway anyone else. He's just trying to cater to his base. I don't think this is going to have any effect on him whatsoever. His base stands behind him without any question.
Yeah. No matter what he does. Okay, you got something?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, I'm just so glad to hear. Yeah, this is Comedian Special K. I'm just so glad to hear somebody else echoing how important it is that we not only get out the vote for ourselves, but for our kids and for our grandkids, because the world that's going to be theirs is the one that we're voting for today. It's not even for us. Those of us in our 40s and 50s. It's not for us. It's for them. So if you don't care about your own present, care about their future. And that's what you're selling. And that's what people need to be buying.
Listen, I want to sell the past. I want this generation to remember how many of our forefathers and foremothers literally died for us to have the right to vote. And then also be mindful that when you don't vote now, you also not only affecting judges, you can't serve on grand jury or jury polls. So when officers are indicted and you get mad that there's no charge brought against them, it's partially because we're not even in the jury pool. We're not even in the room to say that this is wrong and someone ought to be held accountable, because when you don't vote, you disqualify yourself from jury duty.
Right.
Wow. See, and that's important because Pastor Wesley, a lot of people didn't know that. They had no idea.
Right.
And we complain. And what would you say to all of the men out there? Because we are struggling to get our men to show up to the polls and vote because the Democratic Party is pretty much on the backs of black women. What do you say to all of the super woke brothers out there, like you said earlier in the conversation, that they, I don't know what I'm a, what do you say to them that's confused about the process, don't know how important it is about the jury and the federal judges? What would you say to them?
I would say, one, that we owe our black sisters, and what we owe them is to step up and meet them in our civic responsibility. Two, we're doing this for our children and generations ahead of us. We have to vote. If you care about your children, if you care about your grandchildren, this is something you have to be involved in and step up to the plate. And then continue to support people like you, Rickey, who will help educating. I want black men to hear what the implications of this are. So as we see really what's at stake, this ain't about whether you think Biden's going to offer you something better. Is he doing something just for the black community? This is about the future of blacks in America, and we have got to step up and vote in this election. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
How can people follow you on social media and follow your movement in your church?
Well, I really appreciate that. We are at Alfred Street Baptist Church. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Alfred Street HD, or you can follow us, Alfred Street, on all of our social media. I'm Pastor HJW on Instagram and on Twitter. And, Rickey, I'm part of a new movement calling on our Divine Nine to get out and vote. These AKs are coming out in swarms to vote in November.
Absolutely.
I'm asking all of our Divine Nine to do the same. Join me today on social media, #WeVoteD9. Come on, Qs. Come on, Alphas. Come on, Kappas, Sigma, Iota. Listen, we coming out and doing this thing this year. We're going to do it. I believe God for an amazing outcome in November.
Yes, man. And you know what? One more thing, Rick. We really appreciate your speech that went viral, Birth of a Nation, as well. Just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. Hey, we absolutely love you and we appreciate you, and thank you so much for coming on. And I will be playing your clip at the top of the hour every hour, every day, leading up to this election. So your voice is gonna be heard on this show because you saying what everybody been saying, but just the way you put that baby into a tight pod, it's powerful. That was a shot. That wasn't a drink, Reverend. That was a shot. That was a good. That was
no chaser.
No
Yeah, Brad. That was a Patron shot right there. That was Patron. Hey, man, we absolutely love you, man. Y'all give it up and show your love. Yes, sir. Dr. Howard John Wesley, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.